that our buffer right? And I was 0 and we wrote a 7. And I was 1 and we wrote a 7. And I was 2 and we wrote a 7. And I was 3 and we wrote a 7, because remember it's a buffer of 5.
Did we save the changes?
We did.
Okay.
It's automatic. You don't have to save it. Automatically is. But here, what happened? I was 5, and I was 6, and it was 7, and it was 8, and it was 9. And I tell you that every time I had that loop, that means that a 7 where'd the 7s go?
Well, I guess they went onto the heap, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but the
or
thing
more
is,
stack.
In Java, it would have still said buffer overflow, and it didn't say that here. So
yeah. So when it was 5, this red zone, we'll call it. Oops. Back to Zoom. You just have to have better annotation tools. When it was 5, we were in this where we started writing into the overflow area. So when it was 5, then it was 6, then it was 7, not related 7, then it was 8, we wrote the 7, and obviously then we also wrote it all the way to a 9th place. This whole area overflowed. So if there was anything in memory that was important in this part of memory, whether it's still stack or heap, we don't know. That we won't know. It's gone. It's gone. If it was like the secret formula for KFC, it's gone. That information is forever lost. It was, I mean, there's probably ways to get it back from backups, but for the moment, it is gone. So we expected it to break, right? That Michael was right. Michael W was like, you know what? I expected to throw an error out when I equals 5. I expect to see an error because we're out of space. This buffer is only 5, but yet there wasn't. And that is why C and C++ don't do such a great job on memory management. So now let's compare it to Java. So do you guys want to try this individually? I want you to write the same code basically in Java. Do you guys feel comfortable doing that on your own, or you want to do it in groups?
I guess we could try. I don't mind trying on my own.
Okay. So go ahead and NetBeans, you guys, and I'm gonna keep this code up for you. And let me just do some erasing of it because it's a little messy. And just start a new project in NetBeans. Call it whatever you want. It'll create a main method for you. You're not doing any input, so you don't have to do any imports. And I can coach you through it a little. But go ahead and try to write this code in Java. You sure you don't want? Do you guys want to do this together? Or, well, I mean, everyone's being so silent. I mean, not everyone's being so silent, but why don't you guys give it a little try, and then we'll see who gets it. We can share. You know what? It's 8 o'clock. We should take a break. So let's take a break. Have your NetBeans open, and whenever you come back, you can start working on it. by like 8:15 we will regroup and we will, you guys can start working on it now or during the break if you want to. Okay, so let's take a break because it's 8 o'clock already. And I would, I'd like to see if so we can compare and contrast it in Java. I believe I wrote it in Java, and I'll be able to write it pretty quickly. But I think it'd be good, and because in Java we're going to modify and put some checks into it too, possibly. So really, we're just comparing how does this work in C and C++, because I knew most of us were on C++ programmers. But let's see how it all plays out in Java, because we know in C++ we didn't even get an error. We just overflowed. We not even get an error. Okay. All right, you guys. I'll see you back here at 8:15, and hope you have NetBeans open and you can write it. And I'll leave this window up. I won't. I can keep sharing, so it doesn't matter if I have my screen open or not. I can keep sharing. So I will do that. Actually, I need to stop. Oh, no, okay. All right. Oh. Ancient, you can make it a little larger.
Okay, let me see.
Oh, we go to tools in the menu bar, in the toolbar, like in the top
Okay.
part where it says like team tools window inside NetBeans itself.
Oh, in NetBeans. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Inside NetBeans, the NetBeans sort of the menu under tools. Then the very last one, options, and then fonts and colors, and then make it something nice and larger than under font.
What am I clicking? Hold on, wait a minute. Where's the?
Where you click font, click the browser next to font. The browse the three dots next to the font text box.
Oh, right. Okay. So let's try. I shouldn't have changed this.
You could do like Homa or whatever. Or Times New Roman. That's fine.
But then did it not change?
No, you didn't change it. You must not have saved it when you did or applied it because it stayed at monospace 13.
Can you enlarge the screen?
So I'm hitting size. Okay.
Click OK.
Apply.
And click
Oh,
apply.
there we go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, you didn't click apply. There you go. Okay.
All right. So gonna
Thank
get a
you.
lot of white space here.
So
All right,
this
go
is the
ahead.
initial one where it's working. You have it as 9 and 9 working now, right?
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Oh wait, no. This is because I set it to 10. Yeah, now it should work.
Now it should work, right? Could be 10. This is the initial code. Okay. So now to test it equivalent to what the C++ program was doing, we're going to change that to, on line 25, you're going to change it to 5. So now the size of the buffer array that stores integers is 5. And when you run that, voila. It's weird where it throws the exception. That part, there's a memory management thing I don't understand, but you will not see I equals 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 because Java will not allow memory to be overwritten. It's the stack heap relationship will not allow it to be overwritten. So Java allocates memory differently, and it will be like, oh no, you are done. You only have 5 places, of memory in this array, and you're trying to overwrite it, so it will not let you do that. But so before you, because we're gonna talk about how to fix, like, what's the best way to fix this kind of thing to make sure this doesn't happen. So can everyone see what's going on with the output below? I forgot it. Like, you right click to increase the output font size in. I think you can like right click in the output window. And there's something. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So as we can see, Java was having none of this. Java's like, no. But you folks do in C++, you can keep going on your merry way, overwriting. Java will not let you do that. But it's still a little wonky right now because Mike could play with the numbers, right? Mike could change the loops sort of condition variable, or he could go ahead and change the buffer size again. So here's my suggestion from a software security standpoint. Go ahead, Mike, and add a line between 24 and 25 and declare an integer, or I guess it's final, because it's final int variable, and call it like size or whatever, size, and then set it equal to, say, 9 or 10 or whatever, okay? And then wherever you are dealing with the size of the array, and then it's going to be less than size for your loop because now it's trying size. And when you run that, voila. So what we did is instead say the code where it declared the array was 5,000 lines of code away from this loop. And so nobody in their right mind knew what the size of the buffer was when they were writing the code because people were writing it in different parts. If you standardize with a constant variable, in this case we called it size, and plug that in when you're declaring the buffer and when you're using it in the loop bounds, you now will, it's not perfect, but you are far less likely than to have that run into that problem where you're going to possibly get it like an overflow or an out of bounds error.
How about if
So
you
everyone,
can I just write something else that I think is probably going to work also?
go ahead. There's like lots of different ways to do this, but go ahead. Sure.
Right. I mean, obviously,
That'll
technically,
do it too.
you could still change this if you wanted to, but I mean, this for loop will never screw up now.
Correct. It's definitely another way to use the dot length, which is actually probably the most acceptable practice kind of thing. But the only problem is that if someone wanted to futz, no, that will work too. Yep, I like that also. So there's not one right way, but certainly the way it was done before when we are copying verbatim how the C++ is doing it is not right. I'm recording this right now, so anybody can go back and look at it and recreate this code at any time kind of thing. Thanks, Mike. You can leave it the way you like it. That's fine. So before Mike stops sharing his screen, are there any questions? Number one, and number two, most importantly, does everyone see the difference between running basically identical code, obviously syntax is slightly different, between a C++ program and a Java program? All right, thank you. And we're going to do one more example. And just close this up. Okay, so I'm going to go back into here, and I'm going to grab another thing on this one. This one I even like even better. Let me just grab this, and this code is available to you guys now as well. And so we're going to do a little example. Okay. All right. I'll kind of talk us through this one because I want us to at least start the lab tonight, and you're probably going to wind up having to finish it like on your own. So in this case, I have allocated 2 char arrays, let's just say, one that will hold 5 characters and one that will hold 10. And I stored the word Jane, which is 5 characters, in the first one. And I stored the word password in the second, just to initialize them, just to have some value in them. But I'm going to actually ask the user to enter your name. And I'm going to allow the user to put in a first name. And after they put in the first name, then I'm going to output their first name and what we're calling referring the important data. Okay. So to rehash, I have 2 character arrays, one to store a first name, one to store what we're going to call important data, which we will refer to as the password. And I want the password to stay intact. I'm not expecting anything bad to happen to the password because I need my password. But as I go on my merry way, I'm going to let the user enter their name. It's the line of code 20. And they're going to enter their first name. And then I'm going to output their first name. And hopefully, password is intact. I'm going to output the important data, which is a variable holding the value password. And then all is good, so I return a 0. So I'm going to run my code. And it's going to ask, enter your name. And I'm going to just change my name to Bob. And so my first name is Bob, and my important data now is password. Everyone understand what happened and why and what was going on in this program? So it said my important data at first is password. Then it asked me to enter my name. It prompted. I entered my name, output the name, and then my important data now is password. So let me ask you guys, based on the lesson tonight, if you were a software developer and you just ran this program, would you now walk away and tell your boss, you know what? I got this one working. I wrote the program to enter the name. I got it working. I tested it. I'm good. Would that be a legitimate thing to say?
No, because you just put in Bob. Would you want to know something beyond what the string required to see if it threw an error?
Yes, right? Because you're like, maybe it's going to throw an error. So, okay. Run it again. So I started with my important data at first is password. So I'm good. I know that password is still intact. I know the first name is actually Jane, but I was wanting to change that. So I'm okay with that. What should I input now? Krista, tell me something to input I'm gonna try to break it with. A name I'm trying to break it with.
So you want a name with a bunch of characters?
That's what I want.
Let's see. Trying to think of something off the top of my head.
It's probably the hardest question all night.
Sebastian.
And Krista, what's about Sebastian do we think is we're trying to break it with? Why Sebastian and why not Seb or Sebi?
So I picked that because it had more characters
More characters than what?
than a shorter version of the name.
But
Or
what
like how
Okay.
Jane, which was 4 characters, Sebastian's 9 characters. I'm trying to think of something longer.
Longer than what though? What number were you looking at to try to figure out longer than?
I was gonna say longer than 10.
But look at line 16. I think you can still see it on the code. What is the name? How many
Oh, it has 5.
characters? 5, right? We want something larger than 5. Okay. So I'm not going to return. What do we think is going to happen now?
Choose faster. 4 miles. Choose healthier.
Is it gonna
Choose smile.
go
Today,
to the
choose
stack?
smile. It costs up to 60% less
I'm trying
than
to remember
braces.
from before.
This to this.
Krista, you're good.
As little as 60 days. Get started for free at SmileDirectClub.com.
Grubhub Perks give you deals on the
I think
food
someone
you
has the
love.
TV on.
The kind of deals that make you push.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Maybe nothing after our first interaction with C++. It just might pass.
Okay. All
It's
right.
gonna overwrite password.
Let's see. Okay. Enter Sebastian.
Whitehaven Sauvignon Blanc.
What happened?
So
It-
the
it
last 4
truncated.
letters. Yeah.
Yeah, it truncated.
It truncated. It didn't truncate anything. Truncate means that it clipped off.
Your haven awaits.
It didn't truncate. Okay. Truncate means that you didn't have enough, so it clipped it.
Yes.
It did not clip it. Sebastian stayed all 9 characters.
So did it take the last 4 of Sebastian and make it part of the word now? Because password didn't come back, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah. So what happened?
Buffer overflow, right?
The variable important data got overflowed because Sebastian, Sebas, took up all the space for the first name variable, and then there was 4 characters left. They had nowhere to go, so they overflowed into the important data. So what we're seeing now is when these 2 variables were declared, they had basically consecutive space allocated. And so what we had let me do the drawing. I think that's probably the best way. Is that we had first name. One, two, three, four, 5. And then right next to it, it could be stack, it could be heap. We're not really exactly sure. When memory was declared, was important data. Wish I had not written such a long word. So initially we had Jane and password, which was fine. But then, so Jane was fine because Jane didn't take up more space than it needed to, and password fit into the important data. But when we asked for input for first name, all of a sudden then things changed because the S went here, the E, the B, the A, the S, and then we were out of space for first name. So we started to overflow. And hence, we overflowed. And but because we're trying so hard, the computer's trying so hard to satisfy what we want, it's still showing us all the information. It now considers this, draw this, because this dynamic allocator, it kind of considers this now to be the new first name variable. But the word password is gone. We overwrote the word password. That was our important data. That was really important. We lost our important data because C++ does this stack heap dynamic memory allocation stuff, and all of a sudden we overwrote it. So now we have lost the password. It is gone. So that was our important data, and because we allowed the user to enter a value for first name that was larger than the allocated amount, we overflowed into the important data.
So now, why does it delete every character of password? Is that because it's like messing up the reference to that variable?
Yeah, it's messing it all up. It's like, yeah, you might have expected to see like PASSWORD, but no, it just totally corrupts it. Right, because it's reference, right? So these are, because it's part of CARs, it's reference, and it's like somewhere there's still the like SWORD or whatever's left of it, but it can't even be found. It's lost.
Right.
So isn't that kind of like it's not what you would expect? It's clearly not what we would have expected, but it's sort of what happens. So, in the interest of saving time, I wrote it in Java. So, but before we leave it do it in Java, any questions about what's going on in this code? Right, we entered it, we put in, so Sebastian was a great one because it was nice, like a clean to see, like where it literally cuts off the SEBAS fit in the first name, basically array of characters, and now those TIAN overflowed into the important data character array.
So, Professor, in C++ here, how do you, I guess, write the code? So
we can talk about doing input validation. When
Okay.
I entered, I should have had like a temporary variable to enter the first name. And before I actually stored it in first name, I should have checked for characters, for the length of the string that was input. Or I could have truncated it. I could have just said, and my C++ is rusty. I could have just stored the substring, the first 5 characters, and stored a substring of first name as they put it in. So I should have had checks in place to make sure when the first name was being input in line 21 that they did not exceed 5 characters. Okay, so this is where I would have put the check. Okay, so this is where I should have put that. So any questions about this C++ program? If you want to play with it, when I made the information available, it also has like, I used to do it in Visual Studio, their C++ compiler. I'm like, why am I doing that? What a pain. So this is a nice little online IDE. You can run different languages in it. I'm just using this for C++ because I'm a diehard NetBeans person for NetBeans, so for Java. So there you go. Right, so let me stop sharing for a second. And let me open NetBeans because I probably should have done that before. And I'll show you the program in Java. Not expect you guys to write that program in Java. It's a little more involved because there's input and output, but the input you have to set up your scanner class. And I'm not sharing. Okay, so let me just share my screen again. Okay. So here is, the code looks a little different. It's a little, it's not as apples and apples to the C++ code as the other example was. So